Hey beautifuls, Hannah from Reality Awareness. If this is your first time to my live stream, please say hi, let me know where you're from. As always, I'm outside, it's windy, but I was determined to do a live stream outside today, and I trust that you will let me know if it is too windy at all. I'm kind of sitting right behind a tree, got my hat on, trying to hide the microphone, so I trust if it's too noisy, you will definitely let me know, right, with this wind. So I've got a bit of an energy update to talk about because I feel like I've been saying the same thing over and over with client after client after client this morning, and talking to friends, and what's been going on for myself. So I really feel called to jump on here and share and like what's at the core of what's really going on, right? We've got solstice also going on. So solstice is tomorrow, it's the 22nd at like 3 in the afternoon or 3:15 in the afternoon, Brisbane, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Hey beautifuls, all right, let me share this and I shall be super present with you as always. So I'm curious how you guys are feeling. Christmas is a couple of days away, obviously. Everyone's very well aware of that, I'm sure. Plus, so what are we now? So today's Saturday or Friday, depending on where you are in the world. And so Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday. So Wednesday, Thursday next week, we've got the eclipse. It's a solar eclipse, if I'm remembering correctly. So there's a lot of energy starting to really stir. Now, remember, it was like in like mid-November or something, and I was saying, you know, like that the energy of the first 2 weeks of December are going to be really like this big wave of energy comes in, or it's going to be like a big lift, or you know what I mean? Like, do you guys remember me saying that? And we really kind of felt that, right? We really did feel that. So just let me share this because this is really important about what's actually going on, yeah? Now about what's going on. So, and I'm curious, obviously, if you guys have been feeling it or whether I'm just going crazy and it is me. But I have been talking to other clients about it, so I don't think it's just me. All right, sweet. I'm all good. So, so that first, remember I was like, yes, so the first 2 weeks of December are going to be like this energy influx. It's going to be like a wave of energy, or it's going to like be a lift up, right? And then I said like it's going to like drop, like it's going to like the first 2 weeks of December, and then it'll kind of dip back down. And I feel like this week we've really hit that space. Yeah, we've really dropped into that dip, and it's really like coming into that space of like, like it's like this week it feels like it's like been a lot of hit up against reality, in a sense of like, you know, when I talk about, you know, on this live stream I'd said, you know, like excruciating heartbreak. So I think I told you guys the other day, like I think it was Monday, I ended up having a big cry. And I feel everything that I'm about to share, by the way, little disclaimer, is not a pity party. It's not out of like, oh, poor Hannah. Oh, it's like, no. Please, like, listen completely so you understand the consciousness, yeah, and what we're like shifting into about that. So when I say the excruciating heartbreak, why it feels like people are attacking you, you know, that real dense kind of heavy energy, it's just like, woof, like we just kind of hit this, you know, like, I don't know, this drop or something, right? Tears had been shed and cleansing beyond belief. Yep, shed. Yep. Definitely, right? There's definitely been a lot of crying. A lot of people have been speaking to this week. There's been a lot of crying going on. And for me, it's kind of a little bit weird in a sense that I haven't cried like this for a long time. And there's, you know, and I also got my menstrual cycle a week early. Yeah, it's not for another week, and it actually came a week early, and I'm like, okay, there's big changes going on. So you know how like we shared like that, you know, I kept sharing, I'm like, it's like this 90-degree turn. It's like, we're not going this way, we're going this way, right? And I kept sharing about that, and you know, and on that day it really did feel like that. But this week in particular has been like lots of crying, and it's almost like that 90-degree turn, it's like we're not going that way anyway, we're going this way, and now it's like whoa, like okay, and then all this like energy is coming through and up. But that excruciating heartbreak, like when I was driving here, I was like, that excruciating heartbreak, I originally felt the core of that like dropped, I don't know if it dropped into the core or whatever you want to call it, probably about a month ago. Yeah, you're a little late. Yeah, it's so interesting. And I just feel like just speaking on that menstrual cycle thing, and I was going to share this in a different or a private group because I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me. Okay, so if you guys don't like talking about menstrual blood, you might want to jump off my live stream. But what I wanted to share about that is like, you know, like 90-degree term is that whole sense of like, we're going a different direction. And in that, like everything is everything is shifting around that. Like it feels like the reality is literally like shifting, like the ripple of reality. And I know it's kind of like a no-brainer when we manifest, when we, you know, do inner work, like the external reality has to physically change. But I feel it on such a deep core level, right? And like I said, like about a month ago when I was driving here, I was trying to figure it out because that excruciating heartbreak that I felt, I was bawling my eyes out yesterday and also on Monday. And when, like I said, when I was driving here, I was like, but I felt that. And I say excruciating heartbreak, and what I actually mean by that is like when you cry and you grieve and it's like you literally feel it, well, I feel it deep here, like literally in the center of my heart chakra, and it literally feels like a piercing, almost a piercing in a way, like feels like a big cone shape of, you know, meeting in my heart chakra, right? But it comes down and it's just like this vortex almost that opens up in like a black vortex. And I say black not in a like, it's yuck energy. It's like a night sky, like a universe night sky, black vortex opening up, and it's just like, it's piercing reality is what I could explain it as, right? Do you know what I mean? Yes, this is resonating. Yes, thank you so much. Don't know which way is true really, but feel the heartbreak hard. Yeah. So, and that heartbreak, you know, and obviously we're all going to have our own little story and thread and experience of what has led us to feeling that excruciating heartbreak. Okay. And I'm going to rattle off some things that I feel like has been flying around the collective. So like at the core of that excruciating heartbreak is total and utter abandonment. Like at its core, it's abandonment. Yeah. And then on top is all these layers of, they did this to me, you know, like a lot of resentment, a lot of, can't believe they did that. Why aren't they communicating to me? How come it's like this? Like this isn't what they said it was going to be. Like they left me, they abandoned me. They're not even in communication with me. Like how can they do that to me? Like, and I know, and this is like, and this is the thing I get on live stream these days, and I've been even processing this myself. I'm like, I'm so nervous, like people look at me like a victim when I share this shit, and I'm like, man, like, you know, like if like, you know, I feel like there's immediate judgment of like, victim mode, I don't want to be around victims. And I'm like, man, this is not why I'm sharing this stuff. Like, this is part of the emotional understanding of emotional intelligence, of understanding your consciousness. Like, do you know what I mean? And like, when we look at these layers underneath, right? Wow, I can't wait to open up that heart emotionally. Yeah, it takes a bit, right? Abandonment to what we had before and accept it as true. Yes, exactly, right? And this is the thing, like, you know, what we're excruciating heartbreak about isn't what we want anymore. But part of the 90-degree turn is, as I always say, no matter what change occurs, we go through the grief cycle. So we know we don't want to go back to what we feel like we're abandoned from right now, right? But it also, the reality is that core of, feeling, I say feeling abandoned, but it's also not validated. It's not heard. It's, you know, like, I don't know if it's not heard or not listened to. I know they're kind of the same thing, but when you voice your truth and then your truth gets shut down, or you get told that never to say that again, or to, stop talking about that, what are you, crazy? Like all those things. And it's like in that core of excruciating heartbreak, it's like all those things we're grieving about is all the hurt or the pain of all those incidences. But it's also the sense that now we're also fucking alone. I don't have anybody. I don't have, there's no one. I don't resonate with anyone anymore. Like, I don't have friends because I choose to. Again, this is not victim mode. Okay. This is like a part of the process. And this is part of what I was telling my client this morning. This is part of a process that we walk through when we, as people who have grown up in unhealthy, toxic, abusive childhoods, and have never known what it is like to have a healthy, balanced relationship role model to us. So we're kind of like navigating this space all by ourselves, all alone. I've got nobody left because I've chosen that. Like, again, this is not victim mode. This is like, and I keep saying this is not victim mode because I feel like I get judged. Like, I feel like I've been judged in the past, just recently, for, sharing this, and I need to let that go. I'm still processing. Putting my hand up. I'm still processing this, right? I go through just what you guys do. But it's this process of understanding the emotions, and this is where I say about not denying and not being authentic to what your heart is feeling, okay? And it's not that when we're going through and I'm so alone and I don't have anyone anymore and I don't do this and I'm like, I don't do you know what I mean? Like, when we are voicing and feeling those consciously, that's when we're moving them. To deny them is when, people say, oh, we shouldn't even focus on them. And I'm like, man, I would rather acknowledge them, bring them up, bring them out, and bring the conscious awareness and light of my awareness and my heart to that space, so that when I drop right underneath the core of I don't have anyone and I feel so sad about that, and it's a natural part of the fucking grieving process, that when we actually do that, then we drop into like, oh, I really needed to voice that to myself, to somebody else. Like, do you know what I mean? Because otherwise we're bottling this up. And it's like, I feel like part of the excruciating heartbreak that has been, that I shared on this, like, title of the live stream, is part of like acknowledging that so many of us have been doing the work and we've been creating a new reality and moving into a new level of consciousness. Like, what we are experiencing in reality, in human consciousness, is not on the planet yet. Like, it's not on the planet. Maybe it was when the Egyptians were here. Like, who fucking knows, ultimately, right? But what we're moving into is a brand new level of consciousness, in a sense. And people are like, it's not new. And I'm like, well, right now in modern society, it is, in a sense, right? And so this whole process of like moving from codependent, unhealthy, toxic relationships that have been infidelity and so much other shit in, and that was normal for us to break out of that collective, generational karmic pattern that's been ingrained into our energy field, body and DNA since we were being alive, right? And we've been working hardcore to shift that, and that's what most of us have been doing. That I feel like this week of like excruciating heartbreak pain is actually us feeling the reality of, I've got rid of so many people in my life. I don't have anybody anymore. I don't resonate with anybody anymore. I've been doing the work. I've been doing all that. And even though we know that that's empowering and we need to continue to do that, and we will attract our tribe and blah, 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 facing the reality of the depth of change of walking away from what's been your normal reality for like however many years old you are into this whole new brand new consciousness is, and this is what I said to another client the other day, is like you are a newborn baby. Okay, and that newborn baby's going to be feeling scared, and that newborn baby's going to be feeling alone and doesn't know how to navigate this new energy and this new reality and this new environment and this new energy, right? Because it's not the toxic crap that we've been used to and accustomed to. We've been working hard out to like shift the fuck out of that, and we have. There's so many of us on the planet right now that have, right? And so when we birth into this new reality, the grief process that comes from going through the birthing canal is a little bit painful, in a sense that that's a change of reality from this and then birthing through into this. Yeah, grief is a natural part of human reality. Our tears shed the, hormone, the stress hormone cortisol. It is essential for us to cry. That's why babies naturally cry, right? That's why we sweat. That's why we go to the toilet. That's why we vomit if we've got something in our stomach. Like, all these physical functions serve a definite purpose. And if we're not crying, then all of that is like still like in our system. Do you know what I mean? So, tired of the toxic and ready to move on to positivity. Yeah. So Garrett says, I feel mean lately. Do you mean angry? Because anger is another emotion that's been really strong coming up lately. If you just can clarify if that's what you mean. I feel mean lately. Like you feel angry, or you feel mean to the people that you're walking away from. Can you just give me some clarity there? I love the Egyptians too. But necessary to grow. Yeah, self-reflecting is hard. It can be hard when we're first facing hard truths about our reality. Now, every time we have a conscious aha moment, we're like, why didn't I see that before? Like, it can always be confronting, definitely. And when we are able to, continue, to do that, when we also reprogram our brain, our mind, all of that, to, we've just shifted out of this toxic lifestyle, and I say toxic, I don't like using these words, okay, but for me to explain it, for me to, help to understand the consciousness, I put these labels to it, but I don't like using these labels, okay, so just putting that out there. So in this, moving through this reality and like shifting out of the toxic, and this reality of toxic, unhealthy patterning in any relationship for all our life has been hard. And we've also been programmed that it's hard, it's tired, it's exhausting, life is right? It's a training that we've been programmed into in school, in family systems, in whatever, right? So another really important piece of shifting into your peace is like when you start birthing in and you're grieving and now you're birthing into this new reality, is also training yourself, because this is a truth, right? That life is getting easier, life is getting more peaceful, life and personal development and the confrontations that I come up against in realizing parts and truths about my reality, about myself, and having aha moments and all the shifts that come, is getting easier and easier to navigate. I'm becoming more joyous when I find something else about myself, rather, and this is not an affirmation that you say, but this is the things that you're training your brain, your body, your awareness to move into, so that life does become that bliss and joy, okay? But it is a training when we're moving out of this reality into this reality, right? And so we're training ourselves that life is easier, even the confronting, even the hard parts, even the chaos and the drama, because we're so used to the chaos and drama being our normal. So when something comes up, we might be moving along and then all of a sudden something will happen and we'll be like, wow, and we'll like react the same way that we used to. Now, we can have a different awareness on board, but sometimes our behavior and body patterns take a little bit more to catch up. It's the same thing with reality catching up with our manifestations, okay? And so when we're newly experiencing this new reality that we've birthed into, we're also training ourselves to respond differently to chaos and drama. Now that comes from deep inner personal work and doing shadow work and healing your triggers and blah, blah, blah. But it also comes from training yourself to respond to a situation differently, and the self-talk that you have about that, because it is a trained learning pattern from here. Okay, so I just had to say that too. Okay, Garrett, so I just wanted to say, so you say, yes, anger. Yeah, I would have said that on there. So many people have also been saying to me about how angry they feel. Hey, Danny. And I was seeing other people saying hi too. I wasn't purposely ignoring you. So Robinson says, there's been a lot of irritation in my life, especially towards my current job. Yes, yep, okay. So, and life is exhausting, my patience with people is low. Okay, so when you talked about anger, lots of anger, there's a lot of people that are saying that they're really angry. There's also people that I've been hearing saying, I just haven't been feeling anything. They've been like numb. And they're like, oh, I need to do this. I need to cry, like I need to get anger out because I'm just feeling numb. And I'm like, this is when Lois, my mentor, had said to me at one point, she said, she was like, Hannah, numb is also a feeling. And I was like, oh, that's right. Of course it is, right? And so when we remember that numb is also a feeling, we can also be with that, just like anger, just like sadness, just like joy, just like anything else, okay? Now, one really important factor I really want to point out here with anger, okay? When we're talking about, like I call it traveling emotions, okay? And I call it traveling emotions, and I call it traveling a thread, okay? We're traveling a thread right down to the core of, say, abandonment, like I've been talking on this live stream, right? And so at the core is, say, abandonment, right? And then we've got all these different layers of emotions that are, say, covering up the core issue, okay? So we've got all these emotions, and it might be, anger, and then, and then there's fear. And the fear is so strong that we go and engage in all these other patterns to come back up, to not feel the core wounding of, say, abandonment, that actually nobody's there for me, right? We're about to drop into it sort of thing, right? So with anger, I don't know the exact order, right? I haven't really sat down and channeled that, but there's layers of it, right? And there's always a layer. And I want to point out with anger is a couple of things, okay? So anger is deeply related to the solar plexus, yeah? So just below your heart chakra is the solar plexus. It's yellow and bright like the beautiful sun, your solar plexus, yeah? And it's life-giving, and it's like heat, yeah? And the fire and the sun, and the anger is also that. Now, fire also keeps us nice and warm. It burns a passion in our soul, and it can also destroy and transform, okay? Now, with anger, it's the same. Okay, I'm getting covered in goosebumps to say this is a really important message. So anger has the power to transform, to change, and it also has the power to protect you. Okay, because anger is showing you, right? If you think of it, I don't know how far it goes down to see. So I've got my hands on my solar plexus, right? But it's like anger is like out, you can imagine, from your aura, okay, and you've got your aura and it comes out from your energy body. And say, for example, your aura also comes out, if somebody, you guys can feel it, right? Yeah, if somebody walks up to you, or you're in a supermarket line or whatever, you can feel that person's energy. I know for me personally, if somebody walks too close to me I'm waiting in a line of whatever, somebody walks up, I just immediately step out of the line. I'm still got my place, but I'm out of everyone's auras, because some people walk and I'm just get out of me. Anyway, you guys can feel that, right? So anger is also like that, in a way that anger is almost like a protection mechanism, in a sense, on the edge of your aura. I don't know if it's the edge of your aura, but anger is showing you where your boundaries, your value system is, where your line in the sand is, okay? Number one, like I said, there's a couple of things with anger, but anger shows you where your boundary is. Anger is really valuable in showing you your values in relationship. Anger shows you what's important to you, okay? Because if you get angry about something, right, somebody has crossed that boundary. Somebody has stepped over the line and crossed your energetic boundary about what's important to you. For example, somebody said they were going to do something and get back to me, and they didn't, okay? And you get really angry about that. Now, of course, there's different layers underneath that. You feel abandoned at your core, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, what's really valuable to you is communication. Somebody didn't get back to you. Somebody is ignoring you. Somebody doesn't value. Your anger is showing you that you value communication. So whenever you're angry, ask yourself. So whenever your anger is also showing you an unmet need underneath. So is sadness, right? There's anger, there's sadness, and then there's the need, okay? Under all anger, usually, is a big pile of sadness, okay? And then under anger and sadness is an unmet need. So whenever you're angry or sad, ask yourself the question, what is it that I'm needing right now? What is the need? right? It might be like, well, I need them to call me. It's like, well, I value communication, right? So anger is a really awesome way for yourself to show you what's really important to you, what you really value, what you're needing. Yeah. Now, the other thing about anger is, like I said, underneath anger is all this sadness. And sometimes anger can be like the protection mechanism so you don't bawl your eyes out crying, because underneath that is very painful and it's hurting, right? So there's all of that too. Okay. So I'll just check these comments here. Okay. So Leonie says, yes, someone blames me for something I didn't do. And I just lost it. I went off at this person. Yes. I have just discovered the root of my problem, that people are always blaming me for the things that they have done. That is at the very core. What can I do now? So a bit of a tricky situation, because that's like, like there's so much work, stuff, layers. Underneath, obviously, like there's a part of you that, is a scapegoat for the family, people around you. And then also them not taking responsibility, but then it's also you stepping up to not, so it's dependent on every situation, right? But for example, to not cop abuse, because ultimately they're doing this and that would be abuse. So where's the line for you about how much you're tolerating? When do you say enough is enough and put a really strong boundary in place and just, I'm not anymore, right? I'm not taking that anymore. So again, it depends on the situation. If it's family or a relationship, again, where's the line of abuse drawn? Okay. And sometimes people need a really strong boundary for them to recognize your no. And sometimes that means court and domestic violence orders. Again, it depends which, you're in which environment, situation you're in. But when you're getting blamed for something that you didn't do and there's a constant projection of that, it's like, well, they're not taking responsibility for their reality. And then it's kind of like, well, what's the reflection here? It's like, okay, well, are these people going to wake up? Or is it that I need to put a really strong boundary in place, like a domestic violence order, for example? Or is it that I'm not taking responsibility for my reality and leaving an unhealthy situation when I know I need to, right? Because there's always that line. We're always contributing in some way. But again, every situation is different, right? Different and same. So Gabby says, yes, last night I was really irritable with my family, and boy, did I hear some truths that I needed to hear, even though it was hard. Yeah, right? Lots of hard truths are coming out, lots of facing reality. Sometimes that's really uncomfortable and really confronting. But our willingness, covered in goosebumps that I say this, our willingness to be vulnerable and to be open to hear what's really going on from another person. Now, we can still be listening and hear and be triggered deep inside while still being open. We can still listen and be triggered and processing our own trigger whilst listening to this person, right? Practice, discipline, not easy, no, right? But when you are feeling irritable or angry, like I would be asking yourself, like, say if you're in a job, right? For example, you're in a job that it's time to leave, you haven't left yet. Again, another aspect of being angry all the time. Again, I get nervous saying things because I'm like, this is not a one-way linear thing, right? I'm giving you examples of all the possibilities that could be in a situation, because say, for example, you're at a job, right? You love your job, blah, 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 and you get angry and irritable about something, right? Now, it could be that the company, the space, you are shifting, right? And that like readjustment of the energy can feel irritable, and like we're adjusting to new frequencies and systems and sometimes physical realities and what that looks like, right? An adjustment period, as I said, we go through the grieving process. Now, within a grieving process is, shock, numbness, anger, and, no, this is not happening. No, hold it all together. No. And then there's like a grief period, and then there's acceptance, and we move into the next reality of it, right? It's like they're the main stages of grief. There can be other bits in between, but that's the main thing. Shock, numbness, the no, this is not happening. No, like trying to hold it all together. The grief, oh my God, this has actually happened. Feeling it. And then the acceptance and moving into a new reality. Doesn't mean you're happy, but you move into a new reality. So if you say at a job and you're angry and irritable, is it that stuff is changing or you're changing? Or is that your intuition saying, not meant to be here anymore and need to go on? Now, the reason I say that too is because anger like I said, is deeply connected to your solar plexus. Yeah, your liver is the size of a rugby ball inside your body. Just here, it's the second biggest organ in your body. Your first organ is your skin, and then your liver. Now, your liver is your filter in your body. So if you haven't done a liver clean for a while, you're going to be angry, you're going to be irritable most of the time. Now, liver right here on the solar plexus, right? And this solar plexus is, like I said, your personal power. It's the sun. It's beautiful, bright yellow like the sun. Tune into your solar plexus now. Is it beautiful and bright and yellow like the sun? Or is it dull and cloudy and a bit dark, right? Is the clouds over your solar plexus right now, right? And that could be the anger. It could be the like, not meant to go this way anymore, and you're not listening to your intuition, because your solar plexus is the core of being able to trust your intuition. My Trust Intuition course is based in the solar plexus, taking back your power, you know, like all of that. Oh, please tell me if it's too windy. Is it too windy? Yeah, okay. So Danny says, along with boundary setting, my anger showed up in my shadow work as no patience. Yes, no patience is no patience. Impatience means you don't trust, yeah? And which, you know, when we don't trust, when we're in fear, we want to control, yeah? And that's where the anger is, because like, no, it's got to be this way, got to hold it all together, right? It's that second phase of the grief cycle, yeah? So unmet expectations of myself and what I'm trying to draw in my time, yes, rather than trusting divine timing always, right? Exactly. I need to stay patient and trust divine time always. And that's the willingness to be vulnerable in the like, but it's got to happen this way and now. And sometimes it can be like that because we're trying to hold our reality together that is actually falling apart and crumbling, because the ripple of what all the inner work we've been doing to date and the changes, that reality is still shifting, you know? So yeah, awesome you've realized that. So Rita says, angry because I lost a loved one, but at the same time, growth opportunity. Yeah, and this, again, the anger because you lost a loved one, like, is part of the grief process. Like, anger is a healthy emotion to obviously get out of your system, just like any of them. But anger is showing you what's important to you, you know, like, no, this can't be happening, trying to hold the reality together, but also showing you how much that person was important to you, right? So, yeah, very, very normal part of it. Accused of projection. Yeah, it's a big one, that one. So Fiona says, angry towards a friend, not understanding me, not taking time out to listen when I try, she won't acknowledge. So angry towards a friend, not understanding me, not taking time out to listen when I try, she won't acknowledge. Yeah, best for me to let it go. Yeah, there's a lot of this right now too. And again, in the live stream I put, what did I put at the end? Like, no longer can stay in what is not in alignment, or whatever I said, something like that, right, in the title of this live stream, that this, you know, like, part of the anger and part of everything shifting in this 90-degree turn, it's like the energy's going, nope, we're going this way. And now the physical reality, and we're like, woof, and now, like, you know, the grief and everything's really hitting, and we've been going along really well, and then all of a sudden it's just like, woof. And now we're like energetically, emotionally, say, processing the reality changes, the physical reality changes that are going on, right? So awesome that you've had that realization. Best for me to let her go, Fiona, because when we look at that, you know, like, that's, you know, it's a bit like what I was just sharing for Leonie just before. It's kind of like, where are we contributing to the not listening? Because if you're, you know, again, when we're looking at projection, whatever somebody's pointing at you or projecting at you is actually three fingers pointing back to themselves. So, you know, as they always say, it's always about what we're saying. Whatever we say to someone else, always about us, okay? And this came up in my Trust Intuition group just this morning. I think, Leanne, posted this thing, meme quote thing about, you know, like, whatever advice you're giving other people, take it for yourself, yeah? So even as a healer, as an intuitive, empath, whatever, when you're coaching somebody else, it's this, yeah? And this is what I also teach in my healers course, you know, like, the best healers on the planet are the ones that are constantly in this self-reflection and working on that. Because as we shift, so do our clients. As we shift, so does the world, right? So when you're saying, Fiona, angry at a friend for not understanding me, not taking the time out to listen, and when I try, she won't even acknowledge it, best for me to let her go. It's like, yeah, so if you're like, you know, say, for example, you were going to stay in that situation and you continually got angry because she's not listening to you and she doesn't understand you, ultimately, you're not listening to yourself, you're not listening to your own inner wisdom, you're not acknowledging your intuition. Yeah. And so when we can catch ourselves at any time we're going, that person did this person did this, like abandoned, dad, whatever the story is, right? When we can go, and how does that relate to me? How am I not listening to myself? How am I not acknowledging myself? How am I abandoning myself? Yeah? Are we abandoning ourselves by going back to situations that we know we needed to leave? Right? Our intuition, we're like, oh yeah, my intuition is telling me to leave that situation. Okay. We go down the intuition path for a little bit, and then we're like, oh, I'm going to go back to that situation. We've just abandoned ourselves. And then all the shit happens and they abandon us because we're not supposed to be there anyway, right? And then all the shit happens and at this core they've abandoned us, for example. Then what's happened? Oh, I actually abandoned my own intuition. I abandoned myself. I abandoned my own connection to source because I went back. Right, yeah. Yeah, biggest thing is to trust ourselves. Solar plexus, take our power back. Allow the sun to shine, right? It's your guide, it's your guide. So Elle says, I've been breaking through so much truth these past few days. Yes, I've cried hard like I haven't cried in the past 3 years. Hang on a sec. That's my thing, I think. I cried like I haven't in years these past 3 days. Oh my God, you too. Yes, yes, yes. Like seriously, like Monday and yesterday for me. And I know there's been more. Even I think it was on, I don't know, I think whenever I did a live stream or, I don't know, I know I've done lots of private group live streams this week too, and I'm talking about something, I can feel the tears and I'm like, I still got my processing to do about that. You know, I'm just like, wow, I haven't cried like this like for ages either. So definitely collective because so many people are feeling it, yeah, like exactly those comments. And I feel like it's so interesting, right? And when I look at with that, and thank you so much for sharing, Elle, and the others that have been, is that like I feel like, say people like you and me that are feeling this big grief wave right now, I feel like for some time we've actually been feeling really good. Like, yeah, there's ups and downs, but this past week has been like, fuck man, I haven't cried this much for years. Like this is how it used to be years ago, like for me personally, like all the time, right? And what I'm finding, and I think I've been saying this for a little while, you know, like, I don't know, a few months or even a year, that there's like, you know, a wave of us or a web of us, for example, that have done a fuckload of work several years ago, right? And then like this past, say, 18 months, for example, has been pretty good. Like we're actually like, oh, we're not crying as much as we have been, or, you know, like as we used to, or we've really stepped into a new reality about that, or do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I've been noticing that. And then I've noticed also the people that have broken down this week are the ones that have been, say, on the same web as me, and I know we're all collected, you know, whatever, it's not my web, like, but, you know, on the same web, have all had this week, especially. And I'm finding that quite interesting in a sense that I feel like, you know, we birth these realities and we come into this new level of being or understanding, and then we shift again and shift again. Like, I don't quite know what that is yet, but I find that really intriguing. That the group of us, the web of us that have been pretty good because we did a huge chunk of work years ago is now like this week. And I don't feel like it'll go on forever, but I feel like we're shifting in to another layer. You know, I don't feel like it, you know, and saying that, I'm not saying it's going to be bad and we're going to cry like this forever. I just feel like we're hitting another wave of it because we're about to shift again or something like that. I don't know how to describe it, right? So Elle also says, I've been reevaluating my boundaries and seeing all the parts of myself that I've been in denial with. Yes, I know. Tell me about it, right? Not honoring myself and my truth in my relationships. Oh my God, tell me about it. And it's so interesting, right? So as I create Rapid Ascension Awakening, I've done crown, I've done 2 above, I've done the crown, and then I've done the third eye, and now we're at the ears. Now what happens when we hit the ear chakras, right? And I always work down. Crown is opening up to spirit, receiving the light in the body. Third eye is all about the relationships, childhood wounding, past lives, healing past, creating future, blah, blah, blah. Relationship, right? Then as we shift into the ear chakras, what happens here is everything that we've learned in this new consciousness hits reality. Now, even though the ears are up here and our base chakra is reality, as I always say, the ears, the heart, and the base are so interconnected. If we're not open and listening and we're not taking action on where our heart is calling, so we're like, we get the intuition because we're open, we receive the intuition, yeah? Then our heart lights up because we're like, oh, that's amazing, or we feel good because we feel it, right? We're like, yes. And so our heart lights up. And then we want to put it into action, base chakra, we take it out to the world, right? If we are not doing that, that's when it all kind of clogs up. But at the same time, everything that we've learnt here and all the upper chakras starts to hit reality. So reality starts to actually change and transform. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's like we're not waiting until the base chakra for reality to start transforming. It happens here with this new level of consciousness, awakening, light, vibration, whatever you want to call it, that now starts to actually be in physical reality. And I feel like, as you're saying, Elle, like the reality is hitting around boundaries, around seeing all the parts of yourself. You even said that word, seeing, very clairvoyant word. Seeing all the parts of myself I've been in denial with. It's like, yeah, like we've been in the third eye and now we're here. So it's actually like hitting, it's like, whoa, I see it now. Oh, right. Like, do you know what I mean? Like we see the actual reality now because we've got the clarity, and now, does that make sense, right? Anyway, that's what I see. That's what I see there. Liver cleanse to help intuition. Yes, a clean, intuitive, a clean, healthy body makes us more vibrationally, I don't know if lighter is the right word. When we clean our system and body of toxins, of chemicals that we breathe in just in everyday air and the cars driving past, for example, like our liver should be cleaned at least once a year. Yes, yes, yes. Definitely can help our intuition and vibration. So Elle says, I also had tonsillitis this week, which was showing me where I needed to communicate my truth. Yes, and I meant to say on the title of this live stream, so many people have been feeling physically sick, and in particular, throat and also left side of the body, whether it's like aching legs or hips or knees or pains in the arms and shoulders, like left side is, whew. So many people have also been feeling that too. Yes. And there was someone else that said something about throat. Feeling like you've got a cold, feeling like you're nasally, feeling like all of that. Yeah. It's, I feel like it's like a spiritual flu. Like I feel like, as I said, I feel like this grief wave that we've hit is us going into another layer. I don't know how to describe it. But I felt this coming, you know what I mean? I got the message the first 2 weeks of December are going to be like a lifted energy, and then we're going to dip back down, yeah? Is the way I could describe it. If that's what we're actually doing, I don't know about that. But, resonating with so much of this, yeah, spot on, yeah, you're so welcome, yes, resonating, yes. Fuck, I'm glad I'm not the only one going through this. Oh my God, no. no, you're not. It's like every client I speak to, and even friends and everything, it's been strong. Okay, so Robinson says, I've been feeling this irritation all week. So this morning, I just took some time to just let all the trauma come up. No meditations or music, just me and my trauma, my fears. It took 3 hours, but it was the best thing I did this morning. Yes. Sometimes, this is what I always say, a disciplined a disciplined practice routine is imperative. Awesome. But sometimes that can also be the suppression to what we need to for it to come up and feel. And that's why stopping our practices at times is really important to allow that shift, right? Because we do these meditations, we do these practices, we do all that to be able to raise our vibrations so the traumas and stuff can come up and out of our system, right? All the toxins, whatever you want to look at it, is because a trauma and a physical chemical toxin or other toxin in your body is just a manifestation of this trauma. Yeah, it is, right? And so we can be doing all the physical, raw food, juicing fast, whatever other health kick you're going to do. If you're not healing this at the same time, it's a little bit pointless in a way, right? Of course, everything's purposeful, but you know what I mean? Like they're both vibrationally the same, yeah? So I love hearing that you did it, because even though for 3 hours it's uncomfortable, it's like, is this going to end? Like, and just like feeling the pain of that excruciating heartbreak, the abandonment, the irritation. And, again, when you're feeling angry and you're like, and you're just like, everyone leave me alone, or what the fuck is happening, or this is going on, or what the fuck, right? It's like sometimes it's because we need to stop, lock ourselves away for an hour or 2 or 3 and feel all the emotions that are coming up, because even when that irritation and everything is building, usually we're busy, we're working, we've got people around, whatever the story is, and then as soon as we stop, it's like, and like it's all we need to do is have a big cry, right? It's so healing. It is so healing. You're so welcome, Elle. Thank you so much for sharing that. So Danny says, why is there pain in the left side? Please, my sciatica is so sore. A lot of people have been saying the left side, so let me go into that. Yes, my left tonsils were swollen. Yeah, so interesting, right? So a lot of people were saying left side, left arms, left legs, left. All I kept hearing from clients, from people, from all this stuff, left. So my tuning into that, and this is why I did write in the live stream, it feels like it being attacked, right? Now, I don't quite know the definite answer. Like, do you know what I mean? And for like my clients individually, I was kind of picking up the same thread, different people, obviously, but, you know, my intuitive feel on that has been around, like, ultimately at its core, you know, and it's the kind of thing that I kept picking up for, you know, my clients and stuff was like the feminine, obviously, because that's the left side, feminine witch hunt style attacking, but also not that. But that's the energy of it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like attacking sort of needly, like, you know what I mean? So I know you might have knee pain, it's coming from the inside, but ultimately every time someone had told me it, all I could see was this left kind of insert of pain, like rather than, yeah, it's my knee or it's my arm or it's my hip or whatever, right? Or it's the left solar plexus. Like, it's been all the left side. And as I've tuned in that, like I said, I feel like it's the left attacking energy. Now I say that, so what I mean when I say like the witch hunt wound, for example, is obviously that's really coming up in our awareness. And sorry, another thing just dropping in that I need to say as well is part of the anger or frustration, or before we get to the crying part, is this space of, you know, keeping us out of the pain. Is it's this, or I need to do this, or it's wrong to say this, or it's wrong to feel that, or it's wrong to be myself, or because there's so much indoctrine structures, and you have to do it this way, or it has to be done this way, or you can't say that, or no, that's wrong, you need to do it this way. Like, there's a lot of that collectively, I feel, at the moment. And I feel like, and as I was driving here, the message was that is going to actually amplify in 2020. Now, alongside that and connected to that is the witch hunt stuff. Now, as I had shared, like the Leo King had said, that in the mid 1600s, the same planetary lineup, like the mid 1600s, was when all the witch hunts were at their peak, right? And the same planetary lineup that hasn't happened since then is actually happening in 2020. Now, that alongside collectively, when we look at witch hunts, it's because the way you're living, what you're saying, speaking is wrong, basically, okay? Now, when we look at the attacking witch hunt stuff, you know, like, and even a witch, right? And my mentor Lois had actually pointed this out, because I don't know if you guys remember, some of you haven't been following me then, but in January January 2019, if you'd like to watch the live stream of it, please let me know. Grim Reaper turned up in my bedroom in end of November last year. And then in January, early January, witch turned up in the same spot as Grim Reaper. And it was plain as day. Like, it was plain as day. And I still see them today as I say it. Like, witch as you would appear a witch to be, with the witch hat and the nose and it was a broom or something, you know, and she was kind of like short and stocky and like witch, right? And I wasn't scared of her. She didn't do anything. She was just that. And it was so interesting for me to go through that. Now, the part, fast forward a little bit, when I was talking with my mentor, you know, when I look at those parts, they're shadow parts, they're integration of our psyche, blah, blah, blah. Now, which, and when my mentor Lois said this, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. That, because she was trying to get it out of me, and I'm like, I don't know, just tell me. And she said, witch is always on the defense. When we look at a shadow aspect of our psyche, and we're always on the defense, you know, like we're kind of walking on edge, and we're, you know, we might be seen as a bitch and hard ass, and, you know, like we'll fight back, you know, we'll react, and like, hello, that used to be me, like, until like end of last year maybe, right? And that's why I feel like Grim Reaper and Witch came, because Grim Reaper is like the death of a part of me, a part of the whole life. And then Witch is always on defense. Why? Because Witch got burnt at the stake. Witch got told she was wrong. Witch was, she always had to be on defense. And like, I was bawling my eyes out, because when she actually turned up in my room, like the message I got about Grim Reaper and Witch as well is that those aspects of psychic consciousness, darkness, that level of darkness on the planet was actually leaving as Earth and our solar system and whatever moves the universe into more light. That level of darkness can't be in here. Like it's back here. It's like we're moving this way, and that level of darkness doesn't belong in the light, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so I felt really sad because the witch was going. It was like she was saying bye, but it was also me integrating personally the need to react or be on defense or everything, because that was the way that I was brought up, in that toxic domestic violence, always getting beaten up at school style energy. I just had to be on defense and be ready to fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was my survival mechanism. And so when we look at this left side that I feel is like this, you know, and this is part of this, when we look at the witch hunts, when I say the witch hunt wound, that's what I mean, is us not needing to be in flight or fight anymore, is us coming into, and I'm getting covered in goosebumps as I say this, is us coming into, as a collective even, and I feel like it's a certain web, as I say, it's not every single person on the planet, but there's a group of us, big group on the planet, that have been doing a fuckload of work, and we're shifting out of the, and this is the part I was talking to my client this morning, we're shifting out of the 3D consciousness into the 5D consciousness. Now, what does that mean in simple terms? It means we're moving out of the head and we're coming into the heart. 3D, 5D, okay? And fear, love. Okay, and I feel like this left side that a lot of people have been feeling, no matter what body part, and I mean, if you decipher in exactly body part, go into it deeper, blah, 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 then you'll get more information about your specific situation and blah, 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 definitely. But as a general, I feel like it's us coming into a deeper level of safety within every aspect of our life. Even though things still feel like in turmoil right now, at its core, what's happening is you're starting to move out of fear and into more trust, love, and patience, or whatever, right? We're starting to feel safer in the world. We're starting to feel like we don't need to be in flight or fight all the fucking time anymore. Like, we're shifting out of that because we've done so much internal work. So the internal state of like not needing to be in defense or be in fear anymore, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I feel like it is. And so this part of the left side stuff, I feel like, so you know how I was sharing, you know, like we do all this internal work, and then there's a ripple out effect that the reality, our physical reality, starts to disintegrate, fall apart, move house, relationships break up, whatever the story is, right? The physical reality shifts. I feel like this wave of left side pain, because it's been all this week, all these people telling me this stuff, is that this is also a physical manifestation of that attacking flight or fight, fear, needing to be scared and on defense energy all the time, starting to shift out of your system. So you might have had these physical, you know, ailments for a long time, and they've been good for a long time, and all of a sudden they've come back, you know, in a way, right? And so, you know, and as I always say, we do inner work, and then like our vibration rises, and then stuff will come up and out, and it's not pretty, but what's actually happening is it's actually shifting out of your body, right? And so I really feel that that left side is what that is happening. So of course you can do, you know, again, tune into which body part it is, if it's head or neck or knee or foot or whatever. I even had a big thing in my foot, actually, now I speak about it. I had this like big splinter in my foot, and I never get them, and it wouldn't come out. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's in my left foot. So it's literally like all this stuff coming up, you know, and so wherever you tune into that, you know, I have been recommending do like a past life meditation on it. So if there is any of that, not just like attacking witch, but also the betrayal wound of, you know, other people blaming you for things that you didn't do, Leonie, you know, like all of that. I do believe it's all interconnected with this, right? So you could do past life meditation on where you've been blamed in the past, where you've been killed in the past for something that you're innocent for, and you've been carrying that guilt and burden ever fucking since. Like you've done something wrong, even though you haven't done anything wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that, right? So past life, usually I recommend doing my past life meditation 3 times. You don't have to do it back to back 3 times in the same day, but I'm meaning like over a week or over a month. Do it 3 times to clear this thread, okay? Then at the same time, also use in my divine balance meditations. You can find them on my website. Send me a message if you need the links. Then you can use the triple goddess meditation, which is in the divine balance, and that heals generational karma, trauma, generational lineage, but not just from your blood family lineage, but also when you do past life work and you've got this family, and it might not be the same family as you're born into this lifetime, right? But it's this generational family stuff too. The triple goddess and the triune god heal those lineages, right? And so the triple goddess, the feminine, triune god is the masculine, yeah? So, and there's other meditations in there too, but that's what I would recommend if you're wanting to really clear this, because I feel like it's not like, oh, what's wrong or it's happening again. I actually feel like it's shifting out for good as part of the reality shifts, that you've done all this work, and as a collective we've just shifted into next level, layer, whatever that is, and so vibrationally we don't need to carry that in our system anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really do feel that that's what that is about. So yeah. Whew. I had a lot of stuff to say. So I was going to write a blog and I'm like, I need to talk about this shit. So, hey, Marina, you did. Please watch the replay. Does anyone else have any questions before I jump off? I feel like I've shared the messages for our energy update today. Oh, so we are in solstice. No, I haven't. Hang on a sec. I haven't finished yet. Which, by the way, our intuitive coaching immersion, the 6 months deep one-on-one, where you get this insight to me firsthand, deeply intuitive of your own like message and story and what's going on for you personally. This is like on steroids. This is closes tomorrow. There's only a few more hours left, so send me a message if you want details about that. Link is in the top of the comments of this live stream, and you'll see it on my page as well. Yes, the past life meditation is on my website. So when you go to realityawareness.com, and if you scroll down a bit, is one of the hearts is audio meditations, and that'll take you to the audio meditation page, and you've got inner child, shadow, past life, there's others on there, divine balance, all of that on there. Yeah. So yeah, they're there, and please, as always, there's training videos in there. Make sure you take time to watch them. Like in the past life one specifically, there's a 50-minute training video in there, and I delve into all past lives and why and how they relate to our physical reality, and how they, like the people play out, or you watch a movie, or why does that happen? It's like, there's the past life, and how do you decipher that as part of intuiting your guidance that you're receiving, yeah? So, so that's on my website. And then the other part, like I said, it is solstice. Yeah. So solstice is tomorrow. So probably literally about another 24 hours from this live stream now. And, solstice, and it feels like, so obviously here in Australia, it's summer solstice. It's the longest day of the year. In the Northern Hemisphere, we've got the shortest day of the year. And even again, driving here today, it's like this, it's like the 90-degree turn, but it's almost like new cycle begins, right? And I was like, okay, can we get to tomorrow? Like, that's how it felt. You know what I mean? And I wonder if this has been a bit of a clear out for the new energy shift. Do you know what I mean? Coming into the new cycle, because longest day of the year, and then we're starting to shift into shorter days, and you guys are starting to shift into longer days, right? Past life meditation is so good. I know, I freaking love it myself, actually. Of course I do. I've channeled it, but yeah, I love it too. I still use it today. You can relate to all of this. Yeah. So solstice tomorrow, about 24 hours. I feel like, like if there's any cleaning out, or if you want to do a past life meditation and just like, okay, I'm ready to clear out at the core. And by the way, guys, when you do the past life meditation, okay, and I teach this in the third eye chakra consciousness, you've got kind of, I guess to keep it simple, there's like 3 layers or 3 stages. So whatever issues going on in your current life, and you're like, what the fuck's going on, right? You've got your current issue. That's the top. Yeah, that's the first issue, the first stage layer. Okay, current issue. Then you've got this lifetime, you've got childhood, but also any age. Say if you're 50 years old, not just childhood, but every single relationship you've ever had from child to your current thing, right? So I call this childhood, but it's every part of your aspect of your life before now. Okay, and then the third stage. So you got current, childhood. The third stage is what I call, we go deeper into past life. Okay, now when I say whatever's going on for you, check what happened here, what happened in any relationship, where does this pattern show up in any relationship you've ever had in this lifetime, whether it's childhood, parents, cousins, partners, someone else at work, where does this same pattern that's going on in your current relationship show up? Yeah? And you might be like, oh my God, that's here and that's here, right? So you can do work here, you can do inner child, you can do shadow, you can do whatever, right? You might be like, oh, okay, cool. But you're like, something still doesn't feel right. And that's when I'm like, okay, dive deeper. Let's go deeper. And then we do the past life meditation. Now here at the past life, you may only need to do it once. It is a deep meditation. It is pretty big. It's unlocking and changing your reality. If you've never done it before, go easy on it, please, okay? I share all this in the training video. Now, usually I say do it 3 times, right? And so that means when we do it once, we're here. And then when we do it again, we go deeper. So we go into an older past life. And then we do it again and we go deeper. We go into an older past life again, okay? For some reason, that magic number 3, it seems to unlock at the core. Now, you could do the past life intention with the intention of, actually, I only want to do it once to clean this core out. Well, you can set that intention, okay? And tune in to feel if it's feel like it finished or not, right? But you'll see, and it's like, okay, this is what happened, right? Okay, well, where did that start before then? And you're going deeper to clear that out. Okay, where did this originally start? Okay, cool, yeah, let's unlock that, shift that. Then what you do is obviously let that integrate. Okay, if you are going to do it 3 times, you might feel called to do it 1, 2, 3 days in a row. Again, it's deep work. You could spread it out over a month. So every time you sit down and do a meditation, you do the past life. So a week goes by, you do it again. A week goes by, you do it again. Then once that's done, give it integration time, a couple of days, a week, okay? You're shifting deep core energetic reality, okay? Then you come back into current life. You come back into childhood, yeah? Childhood, you do a check. Does my inner child need check-in? Does my shadow need check-in? What's going on here? And then you check in with your current situation. Has my reality shifted? Do I need to voice something to someone? Do I need to change something in my reality? Because sometimes doing all this energetic work shifts your current reality all by itself. Okay, sometimes you've done all this deeper work and you get to the current reality again to recheck in, and you're like, actually, I need to voice this to this person. Actually, I need to leave that job. Actually, I need to change this. Actually, I don't need to do anything because, wow, that situation just resolved itself. Now, when you've done all this deeper work and you come back to this current situation, when you do this, what was I going to say? Like when you voice that to that person, you don't have all this energetic charge underneath. Do you know what I mean? You don't. You've shifted it yourself. And so you're bringing a different energy to the entire situation to start with. And so usually that changes the relationship. Whatever energy you bring to the table is usually what you're going to get back, especially to a not conscious person. Okay. So when you do this deep core energetic work and then you speak to that person, you've already changed the situation in itself with the way you're not bringing all that energy and baggage with it. Does that make sense? So for whatever reason, I needed to share that, because if you're using that past life meditation and the inner child and the shadow, which are all available on my website, and you're doing this work by yourself, that is a bit of a process and a structure and blah, blah, blah. And again, I teach that in depth in the third eye chakra consciousness, yeah? So, okay, solstice tomorrow and in about 24 hours. And then we've also got the eclipse coming up on Boxing Day, Christmas Day, depending on where you are in the world. I think it's 25th, 26th, or is it 26th, 27th? Just need to check that. But it's next week, it's mid next week regardless. So just being mindful. We've already got heightened Christmas chaotic energy, and then we're purging and shifting, and we're having these reality checks and feeling all the emotions, allowing all that to come up and out, so we can start in 2020 moving into the age and decade of light with a clear vibration. Yeah, so just be gentle with yourself, go easy on yourself. Sometimes you just need to stop, rest, chill out, hang out with a tree, reset your energy and come back to the center in yourself, sometimes without doing anything but just being present. Yeah, so important. So guys, I'm going to jump off this live stream. If you're just joining me, please rewatch. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. And again, if you want any information about the 6-month intuitive coaching immersion, the application's closed tomorrow midnight Australian Eastern Standard Time, please send me a message. I shall see you guys real soon. Lots of love.